Before there were borders, before there were kings, before there was even a word for history, there was the Middle East. This land didn't just witness civilization, it created it. Empires rose from its deserts. Religions that shaped billions were born on its soil. And for over 6,000 years, the world has watched as this region burned, bloomed, and broke again and again. But what really happened here? What made this one region the center of power, war, and belief for millennia? Today, we tell the real story of the Middle East, like you've never heard before. It all began in a place the ancients called Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers. Here, the Tigris and Euphrates carved rich, fertile valleys through the desert. By 4000 BC, the Sumerians had settled in these lands, building what are now recognized as the world's first cities. They developed cuneiform writing, built monumental temples known as ziggurats, and created structured governance. They didn't just farm or trade, they built systems that would influence every empire that followed. Meanwhile, far to the west, ancient Egypt emerged from the banks of the Nile River. By 3150 BC, Upper and Lower Egypt were united under one crown, beginning a civilization that would awe the world with pyramids, mummification, and a complex religious system centered around the afterlife. Together, Egypt and Mesopotamia formed the core of the Fertile Crescent, a region that gave humanity its first written laws, centralized states, and organized religion. Time moved forward, and the region became a battleground of ambition. The Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians rose and fell across Mesopotamia. The Babylonians gave the world Hammurabi's Code, the earliest surviving legal code. The Assyrians, fierce and militaristic, mastered the art of conquest and administration. To the northwest, the Phoenicians thrived along the coast of the Mediterranean. Rather than conquering, they traded, navigating the seas with unmatched skill and spreading a revolutionary tool, a phonetic alphabet. This writing system was so influential, it became the basis for Greek and Latin scripts, shaping modern languages as we know them. By the 6th century BC, power shifted east to the Persian Achaemenid Empire, founded by Cyrus the Great. He unified lands from India to Egypt with a model of imperial tolerance and infrastructure that stunned the ancient world. The Persian road system, bureaucracy, and respect for local customs set a new standard for governance. Then came Alexander the Great. In 334 BC, he launched a campaign that would topple the mighty Persian Empire. By the time of his death a decade later, Greek language and culture had spread deep into Asia. His empire didn't last, but the cultural blend he left behind, known as Hellenism, transformed the Middle East. Cities like Alexandria and Antioch became centers of science, philosophy, and art. Greek and Eastern traditions fused, creating a unique intellectual landscape that would influence the world for centuries. In the West, Rome rose. By the 1st century BC, the Roman Empire extended deep into the Middle East. Provinces like Syria, Judea, and Egypt came under Roman control. Roads and trade flourished, but so did unrest. In Judea, a spiritual movement emerged. Christianity, born from Jewish roots, began to spread, slowly at first, then rapidly. Persecuted for centuries, Christians found a powerful ally in Emperor Constantine, who legalized the faith in 313 AD. By the end of the 4th century, Christianity had become the empire's official religion. The eastern provinces of Rome evolved into the Byzantine Empire, ruled from Constantinople, but they were never free from threat. The revived Persian Sassanid Empire constantly tested Byzantine borders, and the two powers fought for dominance, weakening themselves in the process. As both were worn thin from centuries of war, a new wave of power surged out of Arabia, driven not by a single army, but by a cultural and spiritual awakening that rapidly unified the Arabian tribes under a new banner. The Arab tribes, fueled by shared purpose and expanding influence, launched a series of conquests that forever transformed the Middle East. Within just a few decades, they swept through Byzantine and Persian territories, taking Syria, Egypt, Mesopotamia, and beyond. Their rise wasn't just military. They brought with them new institutions, a new language, Arabic, and a powerful unifying identity. Cities like Damascus, and later Baghdad, became capitals of global significance. Under the Umayyad Caliphate, the empire stretched from Spain to India, becoming one of the largest in history. When the Abbasids took over in 750, they moved the capital to Baghdad and ushered in a golden age of science, literature, and art. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad became the most advanced research institution in the world. There, scholars preserved ancient Greek knowledge, developed algebra, advanced medicine, and charted the stars, while Europe languished in the Dark Ages, but cracks formed. By the 10th century, the empire fragmented. Rival states and sectarian divides splintered unity. Meanwhile, crusaders from Europe invaded, capturing Jerusalem in 1099. Yet leaders like Saladin fought back, reclaiming lands and rebuilding the strength of the Muslim world. Then came a blow no one expected: the Mongols. In 1258, they sacked Baghdad, burning libraries, destroying institutions, and ending the Abbasid Golden Age. Though their western advance was eventually stopped, the cultural and psychological damage was immense. From the ashes rose a new power: the Ottoman Empire. Founded around 1300 by Osman I, the Ottomans grew from a small Turkish principality into a global empire. Their crowning moment came in 1453 when they captured Constantinople, ending the Byzantine Empire and transforming the city into Istanbul. By the 16th century, under Suleiman the Magnificent, the Ottomans ruled a vast realm across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. They governed through a system that balanced Islamic authority with religious tolerance, allowing Jews, Christians, and Muslims to live side by side. But they were not alone. In Persia, the Safavid Empire rose and made Shia Islam the state religion, clashing with the Sunni Ottomans in a rivalry that shaped the region's sectarian lines that still divide communities today. As Europe industrialized and colonized, the Ottomans weakened. By the 1800s, they were dubbed the sick man of Europe. Britain and France seized control of trade routes and territory, and with the discovery of oil, their grip only tightened. World War I sealed the empire's fate. Siding with the Central Powers, the Ottomans lost the war and their empire. In secret, Britain and France carved up the Middle East using the Sykes-Picot Agreement, creating artificial borders that ignored centuries of ethnic and tribal realities. In 1948, the founding of Israel triggered a regional crisis. Arab nations attacked, but Israel survived and expanded. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians became refugees. This conflict became a permanent wound, fueling wars in 1956, 1967, and 1973. The promise of Arab nationalism, led by Gamal Abdel Nasser, offered hope, but internal rivalries and repeated military failures led to disillusionment. Then, in 1979, a new storm arrived. The Iranian Revolution overthrew the Western-backed Shah and established a Shia theocracy. Sunni monarchies were rattled. The balance of power shifted. Just a year later, Iraq's Saddam Hussein invaded Iran. 8 years of brutal war followed. When it ended, Iraq was bankrupt. In 1990, Hussein invaded Kuwait, provoking the Gulf War and bringing in the US military. After 9/11, the US launched the War on Terror, invading Afghanistan and Iraq. Regimes fell, but stability never came. The Arab Spring of 2011 brought more upheaval. Dictators fell, but democracy proved elusive. In countries like Syria, peaceful protests spiraled into war, dragging in global powers. Today, the Middle East remains a region of contrasts. Saudi Arabia and the UAE modernize at lightning speed, embracing tech, tourism, and reform. Iran, Turkey, and Israel pursue strategic dominance. And amid the chaos, fragile peace agreements like the Abraham Accords suggest a new diplomatic era may be dawning. But the ghosts of colonialism, the scars of war, and the weight of ancient rivalries still linger. The Middle East shaped our world. Like, subscribe, and comment what history you'd explore next. More epic stories await.